Alright, I'm going to show you how to make the baskets, and I have them kind of set up step by step so you don't have to see the whole thing. But first I have my crochet hook, which is a size J or 6mm, and my twine. And the first thing we're going to do is make the base of it. So we're starting with just making like a coaster sized thing. And the way that you do this, I would think of it as making a slip knot, but make it really big. So like you twist the yarn and pull it through as if you're making like a little slip knot. But then this loop part, you're gonna make nice and big, kind of like that. And you pull it snug enough. And then I start with my hook right here inside the loop. And I'm going to, I don't even know which stitch this is, but I'm gonna put my hook underneath. I'm gonna grab the string, pull it under, wrap it around this one. This is a stitch we're going to use the whole time, and pull it through. And that one is just kind of to get me started. I'm not going to call it my first stitch because after that I'm going to count 10 stitches, and I'm going to be doing, I think it's called the half double stitch or something like that. But basically you go under the loop, you snag some of the yarn, pull it through, wrap around another time, and you pull it through both of them. And then you go under again, you pull it through, wrap it around, and pull it through both of them. So that's 2. I'm going to do that until I have 10 of them. Go under, wrap, pull it through, wrap again, and pull it through both. That is 3. I like to kind of pull a bunch of string off of there. And I'm going to go down, pull under, wrap through, and that is 4. 5. I just kind of keep the loop in my fingers so it doesn't spin around too much. That makes it easier for me. And then I pull through. 6. 7. 8. And I'm trying not to make it too tight, but stay consistent. 9. 10. I'm just going to double check because I was talking that I didn't miss any. I'll count my stitches. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so I've got 10 stitches. And now what I'm going to do is I have them all kind of in a row. I'm going to take the end of the slip knot, and you know how to use this from other things that you've done before, but I'm just going to pull that through. So I'm going to cinch the whole thing up. So I pull it. That's what's going to make it into a circle. So I pull it tight, and then just to secure it, I'm going to set this down so I have room. I will take the end, and I'm just going to kind of find a stitch that's open that I can tie a knot into. It doesn't really matter. I usually do this first one here, just so that there's no chance of it getting looser as I go. So I kind of pull it through and tie that knot really tight. And then what I like to do is, this is just super long, so I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to leave some length on it, and I'll show you what we'll do with it, but if there's too much it just gets in the way, so I'll kind of chop it down to that size. Now, putting my needle back in, I'm going to kind of lay this over, I'm going to lay this end string over my stitches because I'm going to stitch it into the rest of them. But I'm just going to crochet around in a circle by going into the next stitch. So there's no chain on or anything like that. You're just going to go directly into the next one. And the first one is always the hardest. I find it to be the tightest stitch, so I kind of, don't be surprised if you have to really shove it in there. And you're going to go through not just the inside one, but both of those top stitches. So there'll be 2 that you go through. And again, keeping this end over it. And then I'm going to pull through, doing the same stitch. So I pull the first time, wrap it around, and pull it through both. And then as I go around, this is kind of confusing to explain, but it's just kind of something that I've practiced a lot and been able to sort of start gauging how often I should add a stitch, because when I watched a tutorial it said to do 1 stitch into one and then 2 stitches into the next and then 1 and then make this alternating pattern. But I found that with the twine it just became too thick, so I just kind of watch it. So on this one I'm going to do 2 into that first one because it seems like there's enough room for it, and then I'm going to go into the next stitch. I'm just going to go into this one time, and then I go into the next stitch, all the while keeping that string inside. Put it in, and see, I don't know if you can tell this, or maybe you'll just sort of start to get a sense of your own. But if I feel like I have to stretch too far to get to the next stitch, like the curve just doesn't reach it, then I'll do 2 stitches. So I'm going to add a second stitch into that last one, doing it twice into 1 stitch. And then I'm much closer, I can go 1 in, and I'm just going to keep going around and doing that same thing. So 1 in, I don't keep track of how often I did it. Again, I feel like I could probably use a second stitch here. And the biggest thing is the more rounds you make, the less frequently you have to do that. At the beginning, you're kind of adding that circumference around it, so you have to add stitches more often, and then it kind of starts to fill out for itself. But you go around like this until you make it the base size that you want your basket to be. For this example, I'm going to do a pretty small one. So you're just going to keep going around and around in circles, going into the 2 stitches, pulling through, wrapping around, pulling through again, gauging when you need to go in a second time into that stitch or when you just keep going. And I will show you my next stage of this because I already pulled that aside. So just keep going, it should start making a nice round like that, and then I'll show you what to do when you're done.